as the core to the session, the communication. And I think one of the key skills that we talk about, or one of the key vehicle to the key skills in sales is communication. So this program will have that one of the key ingredients on communicating and miscommunicating in sales. Develop a systematic method of recognizing behavior of buyers in terms of their interpersonal needs and how to address these needs through benefits of your product and service. So we will elaborate more on what's in store. See the sales process from the client's eyes. Now, a lot of us, we say, in early days when I was trained in spin, we were told that you know between a salesperson and a client, there has to be like the spaceship docks with, the spacecraft docks with the spaceship. There is no room for any gap. Otherwise, this can be a disaster. Similarly, in sales, the way we connect to the client is one of the keys to how successful we will be. Not that if you don't, you won't be. Partially, you still could be. But your success would multiply if that connect is strong with the client. And we'll see how do we build trust, express empathy, and demonstrate interpersonal flexibility with each client. Develop a method of adapting our sales communication style to reach customers by means of tailored sales process. I would have consulted over 100 organizations in terms of sales training programs. And I always have to pinch myself to keep quiet when they say, our sales and our sales is a very different environment. Everybody says that. I never say it in their presence, but in my heart say, I didn't see anybody from Mars in your organization, nor do I think your customers are located on Mars, at least not as yet. But it's such an inward looking profession that one tends to look deep inside majority of the time, and hence starts to believe that, what my sales is very unique. Whereas, yes, it could be unique industry to industry, but the process by and large doesn't change tremendously. Irrespective of the industry, sales does follow a process. Okay, so we learn about this, we apply those ideas as we go forward. So, beginning with communication, which is something that we started the session with, we all know consequences of poor communication. Good old days, we used to say in sales, in good old days when I joined sales, that for us, our communication is our currency. What gets us our bread and butter is communication. That's how important it used to be. Because early on, when I started my career in the 90s, except for Xerox, there weren't many organizations who could really talk of sales training in as structured a manner, at least not in India. And one of the things we learned early on is that the key ingredient is communication. And let's begin by mastering that. And no B school till date, to the best of my knowledge, really focuses on communication as a skill. It's just taken for granted. But I discovered through the process of training what it can really do, how it can make or break people in this career. And while it is important in any relationship, any career, but it is first among equal when it comes to sales. And we'll see that how. Now, this is another one which is talked about, that salespeople are gifted. The ability to sell is a talent that people are born with. And each individual has their own, fine-tuned gimmick. It can't be duplicated. While that's all true, and I don't intend to get there, but what I want to focus on is it's a learned skill. Successful scaling depends on employing certain processes, techniques, and behavior. Now, we all want to be successful. I'm sure there is no one on the call right now who doesn't want to be successful. But tell me something, while we all work towards success, does it really take us to success? Does it guarantee? Unfortunately not. Success is an outcome. What we can focus, what we can control is the process that takes us to success, not success itself. While all of us want to be successful, we work hard towards it, but what we really need to work hard, or we work hard on already, is the process, not on success. So hard work is equal to success, not necessarily. Process consistently followed with improved efficiency on the process is equal to success for sure. And there is enough proof on that. You pick up any success story, trace it backwards, or you start a success story and trace it forward, you will come to the same conclusion, that end of the day, it's about process. Winning behaviors in selling can be identified and duplicated. First thing is we have a process. Inside of process, we have data. When we start isolating data, we realize where are the graphs of strengths and challenges. Okay, and as you trace that graph, it makes it very clear that these are data points which tell us where the strengths lie and where are our opportunities to build upon further. We will discover all of that as we go forward on how sales is about a process and how behaviors can be picked up from that processes and worked upon. All right, so with that, I would like to introduce the first poll. Invite your wholehearted participation. And there goes the first poll. The first one is, have you dealt with any customer recently who you think is nuts? Pardon my French there, but I mean, we don't want to use that kind of name for customer, but it's there. It's just because I'm not physically there over the webinar, it helps to express. So have we, yes, no, maybe is the answer. Poll gives you that option. Aarti, are you getting responses on the
Yes,
poll?
sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
wonderful.
Actively.
So the next question there is, have you wondered why some customers trust us more than the others? And if you recall your sales experiences, you would certainly be able to know there are some customers who trust us more than the others. And you wish that all would trust like that one customer. Yes, no, maybe once again, please. And last but not the least, I think, if I think of a customer X, your nightmare. I mean, there are some customers we are not happy. This is that Monday morning, and I know I have to meet this customer. I'm not particularly liking Monday. I want it to be suddenly Tuesday. Issue that bugs you most about such customers, those customers who are not a pleasure to meet with. I'm sure we all have such customers, one off even if. Uh, and what is it that issue that bugs you the most? Is it what he or she says or does? The thinking that that customer displays, the attitude the customer displays, or is it something else? Could we see your words, please? In Aarti, we have about 94 people today. So if you could just keep giving me sense on percentage completion, so we could move. And also, what do we see in terms of question number 3?
Sure. So we have around 79% voted already. We'll just wait for 5 more seconds and I'll end the poll.
Okay. More near all sales team. I would expect 100%. Fastest finger first. And you can share the results as well.
Sure.
And share verbally with me because my screen is not sharing results. Children and electronics don't make you proud when you want them to.
So are we able to see the results? Otherwise, I'll just spell it out.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
You can
Yes.
share them with me though.
Oh, you can't see it?
I can't see.
Okay, that's funny. Okay, so I'll just spell it out. I don't
Sure,
know
go
why
ahead.
is it not showing. Sure. So to answer the first one, how you dealt with any customer recently who you think is nuts? Have you dealt with any customer? I'm sorry. The 59% says yes,
Okay.
27% says no, and 15% is maybe.
All right. I respect that answer. Good. Interesting though.
In one, have you wondered why some customers trust us more than the others? 90% say yes,
Okay, good.
6% say no, and 4% is with maybe.
So 59%, 90% and 59%. This session is for you. Stay back. Don't go anywhere. Next one.
If I think of customer X, your nightmare to deal with, the issue that bugs you the most. So what he or she says or does is 11%. The thinking the customer displays is 16%. The attitudes the customer displays is 59%. And something else I can't put my finger on is 15%.
All right. So all of you stay back. This is for you. Because what they say and do, we'll understand that. The thinking they display, why they display, we will talk about this. The attitude they display, why they do it and where it's coming from. What is the root cause of that? We will talk about it. And something else, we will discover what that something else is. You are on the right channel at the right time. So please stay with us. And today's focus is going to be share the concept of personal chemistry with clients. Okay. This is one thing which takes at times ages if one is not aware of as to how do we build that click. And there are some sales people that I have come across who do it in a jiffy. and one keeps wondering what happened and how did they manage this so fast. But of course, over the years, one realizes it is a fine art, and you can definitely develop that skill. Okay, share a one skill to build trust with the client X. Whoever X that you kept in mind, you'd be able to build a skill that you can develop trust with that client. Encourage you to seek use that skill more often. So, very quickly, some responses in the chat box. Easiest and most difficult client. Identify not the case study, literal case study, but with your experience, what are the differences between easiest and most difficult? We all have customers who are, this is an easy customer to do business with. That's a difficult customer to do business with. Some top of the mind responses when you say easy. We are seeking responses for easy first, accessible, okay? They listen to us, okay? Provide expectations, whom you know there is an understanding, all right? Their clarity on clear on what the requirements and details, get connected easily, educated, yes. Past relations, clear on what they want, open to listening. Great, wonderful participation today. Thank you so much, Sailesh. Thanks. And yeah, Supriya Roy, they complicate. Okay, you now move to difficult ones. Okay, we can move to difficult ones with Arijit leading us there. Thank you, Arijit. Difficult ones are adaptable. We are seeking answers for difficult ones. What do they do? We are seeking answers for the ones who are difficult clients now. Difficult clients. Less speak, introvert, rigid, they ignore you. Yeah, that can be really, really rude. Apprehensive, they don't trust easily, stubborn, more through attitude. Oh, yes, that's so right. Vague about their requirements. Don't even want to commit themselves. Don't even want to answer your questions. I read that one, Manoj. I'm just not saying it. We are a audience channel. For okay, Mr. and Mrs. Know It All. Oh, yes, absolutely, Gaurav. I've come across those ones too. No customers, more options, negotiate with logic. All right, thank you for those wonderful responses. So, we all can easily pick these and label these responses, which will come in very handy as we go into this session and try and understand where these responses are coming from. So please, whatever memory that you've just jogged, keep it with you. It's going to come in very handy as we go forward. Okay. Is this true or false? People first buy people before they buy product or a service. I need some responses to go forward in the chat box. True, 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 true. Okay, thank you very much. If majority says true, we can move forward because this is true. You, me are also customers. We first buy the individual from who we would buy eventually. But it's people first buy people before they buy product or a service. So yes, it is important to know my product. Yes, it is important to know my market. But
ये
first,
इसका टॉपिक इसलिए बोल रहा है जब मेरा वो टॉपिक था मैं भी ऐसे बोल रहा था परसेंटेज
Arti, you will need to go to participants and you will need to say mute
Yes, sir,
all.
done. Done that, sir.
And you will do that once again whenever you hear some distractions.
Sure,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So people first buy people before they buy product or a service. And when they buy, I mean is the buying starts demonstrating in the customer's behavior. When they buy product or a service, they start demonstrating it in their behavior.
I think you're mute. Anand, you're in mute.
No, I mute myself. Can I? No, Arti, is it possible to mute myself? Or you muted me? Okay, coming back, persona trust model. Now, typically what happens, we ourselves, and that's why in sales we see we are all packaged very well, good looking ties, suits, and the customers on the other side. When we are interacting at the initial stages, or when we are interacting with some of the customers where we responded that I can't put my finger, I don't know why they behave, I think they throw the attitude. We are looking at the tip of the iceberg in any individual, and it's just not any customer, it's in any relationship that you would have. What is initially is visible is the actions you do or say, and to which customers observe or react. That's at a surface level, which is just the tip of any individual. I'm sure people who just know you by the name or recognize you are looking at that tip. But you as an individual are far deeper than just the actions which are visible on the surface. The persona trust model takes you deeper down, and it talks about operating at the personal needs level to build trust in a manner that no other process will be able to build the kind of relationship you would be able to build. This will also help you answer the question why some customers love us more than the others, why we are comfortable with some customers more than the other ones. This model operates, when we talk of personas trust model, it starts at the bottom of the iceberg, where it says that what you have to aspire is look at the needs, and needs, not the express needs that I need a computer software, I need advanced Pentium chip in that. No, that's not the need we are talking about. We are talking about the personal need, which then relates to the personal chemistry that we spoke about. So this model talks about understanding that very need of this customer. And once we understand that personal need, and there are 4 different needs that we're going to talk about, basis 4 different behaviors of the customer. Once we understand that, our ability to be flexible, which means every customer would have a different need, but what is my flexibility to adapt to that need of the customer? And that's when I'm able to do that, I would see a response from the customer as well, wherein they are able to change, adapt to their priorities because of my flexibility. Okay, and here flexibility is not, between a yes or a no flexibility. Here the flexibility is mapping my style, mirroring my style, which you would have heard of earlier also, to that of the customer. And when you do that basis relationship, customer is able to change what they are looking for because they would like to do business with you. That's when we are operating at a personal chemistry's relationship level. And that's the next step of that is you're able to be seen as an issue solver. You create good expressions, good feelings, good emotions, and that has strengthened the belief of the customer and built a trust which has deep rooted connect, because now you are connected at a personal need level, not just what the customer physically needs out of the product that we are selling, but you connect to that individual's need. And that is a much stronger connect than just trying to be at the surface doing need analysis and presenting the solution. All that all of us do, but why some customers like more than the others, and how can we make maximum customers like that, is what this is about. So this is the trust model. Keep that in the background, and we'll talk more about how this really works in action. Let me give you an example. If I put this name, famous person's name, actually he's become too famous in the last 2 days, which goes as a challenge for me in this exercise. So in the chat box, please use words to describe this person in your own way. This is a quick exercise to see our agility on observations and behavior. So some thoughts on chat box when I put this name there. Loudmouth, energetic, arrogant, confused, orange-head, narcissist, aggressive. Don't just make it out the 2 days. He has some great qualities. He's a bold decision maker. Yes. Arrogant, flamboyant, outspoken, foolish, confident. Okay, some interesting responses there. And you're all capable of, moment there is a name. And we've never met him personally. I'm assuming most of us won't have. But basis how we observe, we all have this ability to observe and attach the description to those behaviors. Okay, let's just take this a little further on. Now, Dr. Osgood's research talks about the measurement of meaning. 2 types of words used by people at large: dominance and emotions. Okay? And we'll explore. So when we talk about dominance behavior, that's one extreme of the continuum. Unassuming behavior, that's one end of the continuum. Okay? And I would invite, we will talk about these behaviors, but first looking them through the lens of people. Okay? I will take you to an exercise. Here are, this is a 100 seconds exercise. And I described about these behaviors, dominant and unassuming. So You may just want to put it down in the in the chat box or noted it yourself. A quick test that we do for the rapid fire. Where would you put Mr. Bachchan? Dominant or unassuming? So you could say one, dominant or unassuming in the chat box. Dominant, unassuming, dominant. So majority I hear saying dominant. Okay, we will disclose where it comes. For now, just their answers have been parked. Aarti, keep an eye on the answers. Amol Palekar. Where would you put Amol Palekar? Unassuming, dominant. Aarti, keep an eye and keep letting me know at the chat box so we can keep moving fast. So just unassuming. So 2.
Unassuming, yeah.
So majority for 2 is unassuming. For 3, Sachin Tendulkar, the global favorite. Where would you put Sachin Tendulkar? Aarti, how's the responses trending?
It is trending towards unassuming, so.
Okay, towards unassuming. Amir Khan, where would you put Amir Khan? This is an interesting one. Keep looking at the trends, Aarti. I love the
Sure, sir.
participation today. Thank you so much, everyone. This is indeed becoming interesting, and your participation would make it even more.
Amir Khan, interestingly, is a good blend of both. It's some, you know, it's
Expected.
50-50.
Salman Khan. So expected that about Amir Khan, Aarti. You've seen that before.
Dominant.
Yes.
Okay, so Amir Khan. Where would be Amir Khan? 99 responses. Awesome. Thank you very much. Keep it coming, please, friends. Keep it coming. Salman, dominant or unassuming?
Dominant.
Dominant. Okay. That's not just because of the hunting sprees. Okay. Arnab Goswami. Did we need to have that name there?
Dominant, dominant, dominant.
Okay. Manmohan Singh. We didn't want to make the exam look very tough. This is where they would be Amitabh Bachchan, dominant. Okay. Amol Palekar, unassuming. Amir Khan, I mean, you would take him more towards dominant, and the way he communicates at times, he could give you a sense of unassuming, but by and large, if you even know about Mr. Perfectionist, that comes as a strong dominant trait. Sachin Tendulkar, unassuming, absolutely. Salman Khan, dominant. Arnab Goswami, you said it. Manmohan Singh, you said it. Okay, so these are two behaviors that we just looked at, dominant and unassuming. Okay? Some of the traits that you see for these people: speaks often, appears confident, makes statement, direct to the point, challenges the point of view, assertive, verbally aggressive, makes quick decision, interrupts. Now, these are dominant behaviors. The degree of this dominant also varies on where you are plotted on the graph. We will talk about this as we go forward. So don't let that cause an interference in your mind that we just spoke about Amitabh, but Amitabh doesn't, he's very careful with his statements. He is more often than not very diplomatic than being to the point. So it's also your position on the graph. You still remain dominant, but where the position on the graph is, that matters. Similarly, for unassuming behavior, speaks little, appears unsure, asks questions, indirect, avoids the point, accepts others' opinion, gentle. Now, to what degree? Again, would be where is your positioning on the graph, and a good listener, of course. Okay. Now, at the same time, there are two other dimensions with which we looked at behavior, which is contained behavior and expansive behavior. Okay. Let's look at where would we want to put Mr. Amitabh Bachchan on expansive or contained. And chat box, please. This is a highly, highly interactive session. Biggest challenge for me to run it online if the chat box doesn't work. But today it's working wonderfully well. Okay, so Amitabh Bachchan, you're saying contained behavior. Okay, okay, expansive. So it's too expansive. By and large, a lot of us saying contained. Okay,
Contained,
let's go
yeah.
forward. Contained is majority. You have to keep letting me know.
Sure,
Amol
sir.
Palekar, number 2. Amol Palekar. Aarti, how's the trend looking like?
It's trending towards contained.
Contained. Okay. Sachin Tendulkar. Another one in that direction. Sachin Tendulkar. Where is it looking like?
Contained. Initial responses are contained, yes.
Okay. Amir Khan. Amir Khan.
Okay, that again goes trending towards contained.
Salman Khan. Which direction are we getting to?
It's
Expansive.
expansive, the number
Expansive.
one, yes.
Should I name or the next one? You can continue. He's called Arnab Goswami. Arnab Goswami. Expansive. Expansive to the power of two. Expansive. That's a giveaway when it comes to Arnab. Manmohan Singh. Contain, expansive. Manmohan Singh. Manmohan Singh. Contain. All right. As Salman Khan says, and some part of the country we say, let us see what the computer says. तो देखते हैं computer ने क्या कहा. Amitabh Bachchan, expansive. Amol Palekar, contained. Sachin Tendulkar, contained. Amir Khan, expansive. Salman Khan, expansive. Arnab Goswami, expansive. Manmohan Singh, contained behavior. Okay. Now, what are the differences? Right there for you appears, when we talk of expansive, appears open, people-oriented, projects warmth, wide gestures, spontaneous, shows emotion, expressive, facial expression, humors and jokes. That's expansive behavior. You could also call this as outgoing, approachable. Those behaviors, those also get labeled with this behavior. Appears reserved, interested in tasks, does not project warmth or doesn't come across as a warm person. Few gestures, contained gestures, formal, does not show emotions, self-discipline. Now, when you keep those people in mind, some behaviors would stand out one more over the others. Again, like I said, that is where they are on the graph. Let's take a little deeper look at these behaviors. So, in our communication styles for sales, we look at these four different behaviors that our customers portray. One behavior is called promotive behavior, which is also expansive and dominant. That's promoting behavior. We'll talk more about this in detail. Another one is facilitating, which is expansive and unassuming. Expansive and unassuming, which we call as facilitating behavior. Then is analytical, which is unassuming and contained, or controlling behavior, which is dominant and contained. Now, no customer comes with labels which says, I am facilitating, I'm promoting. But people first buy people before they buy product or service. Okay. So, and when, if you look at even the close friends that we have, people get along well with people where they see their shadow or they see their future. This is an old age saying in sales by someone called Andy. I don't know if you've heard of him. He was there in the beginning of the program. He's there still. Called Andy. Very early on in my career, I had made this statement. I just fell in love with it. I said it in one fine day for related to something I read, and then it kind of stuck in every situation that I have been. It's got validated for me. If you look at your friends circle around, even within the family, those cousins you get along well with, people get along well where I see my shadow. And by shadow, I mean same thoughts, same beliefs, same feelings. Our same thoughts, belief, feeling is not the only thing. So if I am dominant, there are certain things that they do which attract, which go well with the dominant personality or a controlling personality. Or if somebody is promoting and they get along well, there are certain things somebody is doing that get along well with promoting, and that's building that bond. Or when somebody is saying that, that's how I would like to be. People get along well where they see shadow or they see their future. In future is where they're saying, that's what I would like to be. In both these cases, they get along well. Not that in other cases they don't, but in these, they get along well. So looking at what are the customers I get along well and why I can't get along with the others, somewhere it's about mirroring of the behaviors. And I'm sure those in sales would have heard about this, that one of the key things is how I can't go to the customer and say, this is my style, I would like you to adopt to my style. I have to go and adapt to customer styles invariably because I'm the one on the other side who is wanting to do business to begin with. Of course, till a point we reach where it's mutual win-win and both want to do business with each other. But at the start, it is seen that I am going there to pursue a business. So obviously, I adapt my style to that of the customer. And we see how that adaptation happens. When I look at those four styles which I talk about, the first one I'm picking up is promoting style. stimulating, verbal, enthusiastic, creative, energetic, socialize, assertive, comes up with a lot of ideas. That's typically promoting style. Of course, if you do the assessment, what you have done would give you a partial indication. You also have an in-depth analysis of this assessment, which runs into, I think, what, 30 pages, Aarti? Or 20 pages at least? The
Yes. Yeah,
in-depth
there are 3
assessment.
reports here.
There are 3 different reports that you can generate and gives you a phenomenal insight about yourself. So similarly, you can see for facilitating style, caring, nice person, sensitive, friendly, careful with people, cooperative. These are, the various behaviors that get associated with different styles that we talk about. And let's say analytical for a moment. Their need is to being precise. They want the detail orientation with these people would be high. And when a style which is in front of them, for example, I'm the salesperson and I'm making a sales pitch, and in my sales pitch, I lack the details. I don't talk about the fine prints. I don't talk about getting into the detailing of my product. Analytical will possibly not respond the way we would like them to respond. On the other hand, promoting may still give you a much better response. And at times we wonder, I gave the same pitch, why did I get 2 different responses? Because the needs, the inherent needs, the eye for detail for analytical is a lot more different than that of promoting. We'll try and see that can we simplify this more so that we can zero in and mirror our behavior. The other piece I also talk about is how do you look at your own style? If you've got, I've explained these 4 styles to you. These are the behaviors also associated. So if you were to look at your own self without the assessment as yet, where do you think is your own style? Okay. Aarti, you can launch the poll. Poll 2. Poll 2. And one is, where do you think your style? And how should you change or adapt to communicate with your difficult customer? Okay, so we just looked at what could be our style, and basis that, what do I need to do in terms of adapting to that X customer that we spoke about? Now, it really doesn't matter where on the graph is your style. What would matter much more than that is the flexibility, because all of us have a certain element of each of those styles. Whatever is visible to the other person is what is my predominant style. Now that is predominant style for me, but what really matters from a salesperson's perspective is what is your flexibility. Flexibility is the key tool in resolving conflicts and bringing people together. You would have seen a lot of people who bring rigidity, which then converts into attitude, which then converts into non-cooperation, and which then converts into many things, which typically not associated with sales, but yet we do see some behaviors like that. But yes, more often than not, we do see it at the customer end. Is not seeking only to satisfy own needs, is taking both party needs into account in negotiating a win-win agreement or move forward. Ability to satisfy their needs as well as our own needs and reach a win-win solution. That is what flexibility really means. So, along with knowing what my style is, what is equally important is to know what is my flexibility score. How flexible am I? So position in the matrix doesn't matter, your flexibility does if you want to be a persuasive sales communicator. Okay. Now we talked of the personal chemistries and the link between these styles. So if I look at facilitating, expansive, unassuming, promoting, expansive and dominant, we'll take a little deeper look onto these styles. In absence of adapting, when like currently when we would be interacting or without knowing these styles when we interact, basis experience, we keep throwing something which we call as the shotgun effect. Since we are not aware, we keep trying, testing and trying our own different behaviors with the hope that at least one of them will hit bullseye. But is there a method and methodology for us to be able to look at the indicators and zero in at least with 90% efficiency, what could be a possible customer style and adapt to it accordingly? That leads to the key in understanding the communication styles and adapting to it accordingly. No ideal style is good or bad. Each can be effective. Observation of behavior, not why people behave as they do, what makes people different and how to deal with these differences effectively. That is where the key lies. That's where the meat is. Why they behave differently? No point. Even if you get the answer, it's not going to take us anywhere. But what makes them behave differently? What ticks with them? Where can I really get that? Like I talked about the spaceship example, where can I have the right docking with this customer is about how to deal with these differences effectively. Not labeling people, but grouping behaviors. Like when we saw responses coming for Donald Trump, quite a few bordered about labeling, which unintentionally, we tend to do. One would be much better off if we could look those behaviors and put them into one of the four groups that we spoke about, which would make dealing with those individuals a lot more easier. The tool to understand others, identify needs, build trust, achieve good communication. Those are some of the key points in adapting. Now, in that, trust and empathy play a very important role from the communication perspective. Why build trust? Like we said, people first buy people before they buy product or service, and that begins with trust. Less stressful relationship, increased credibility with trust, seen as problem solver. You would know there are a lot of customers who would call you even on the products that you don't sell, even on businesses you are not connected with, and some even up to the extent of their personal challenges. That's the kind of relationship you would have been able to build with some of them. You're seen as a problem solver, not just for their work, but they tend to get personal as well. Not all of them, and not we would like or suggest that all should be, but at least from a business standpoint, if one is able to be seen as a problem solver, that's a great place to be. Win their confidence, greater self-confidence for us as well, and more durable, predictable, consistent results as sales professional. Okay. Now, these are four elements, and each of these elements play out differently for different customers, like reliability, openness, acceptance, and congruence. Your strengths and weaknesses, your clients and strengths and weaknesses. Four elements that really go into building trust. And so if I talk about trust, reliability, openness, acceptance, congruence. These are four, one can say, as pillars of trust. Now, how do they go with different behaviors? That is the key part. So if I were to look at a promoting style, for them, openness, how open you are with them, engaging in conversation, coming up with innovation, ideas, that's something that they go in more for. Their reliability, of course, being important, but is not prime when it comes to this particular style. The key piece there is openness. Similarly, when you look at facilitating as a style, acceptance takes far more importance than reliability or any other. Congruence takes much lesser. Okay? This is for the facilitative style. Sorry, there was a distraction on the chat box. Okay. Similarly, when I look at analytical as a style, by the name analytical, to some extent, it's a giveaway as well. Their focus and high degree in terms when you're building trust with them is reliability. When we look at controlling as a style, it's congruence, getting it together. So let us say when I am working with someone who I identified as analytical, my focus would be how I can demonstrate, how I can bring to the table, how I can, in all moments of truth and interaction, build the element of reliability, which could be through accuracy, which could be eye for detail, or various ways that one could demonstrate that. Facilitative style, how I can show acceptance to this style. Facilitation style is more of people style, as you would see, and their need to, be liked as a person, and not literally like me, shake up the other person and like me, but they like to make people comfortable. They like to see as problem solvers, as facilitators to what you are doing. That need has to be reinforced with them often. And from a sales perspective, my personal experience, these are with salespeople, this is a great style. We tend to feel comfortable working with them. The key challenge with these people is to get decisions out of them. When it comes to signing the dotted line, when it comes to taking decision, this style can delay things to a large extent. And as salespeople, because a lot of the times we come across tougher situations, so someone who comes easy becomes more like a friend, becomes more like someone I don't want to hurt. And in that process, the smoke screen kind of increases and getting decisions out of them becomes difficult. So that's one pitfall one may want to keep in mind when it comes to facilitating. Going back on analytical for a moment, with this style, if they are not, if they see gaps in detailing, if they see gaps in information that is being shared, if they see unpreparedness with you, those are points which would, create a higher degree of challenge. Now, what happens for typical of us as salespeople when we see silence with such customers, because they're generally not very talkative, openness is pretty low. You wouldn't see them into, you ask them a question, you would see more close-ended response. You ask an open-ended question, you still get a close-ended response. So in that situation, we as salespeople at times find silence to be very disturbing. So we tend to fill the silence by our own communication. And when we tend to do that, that's actually taking away a lot of the reliability factor, because analytical doesn't get impressed by openness. That's not something that's really going to cut ice. Okay? What they would really want to see is the accuracy, is the preciseness that you're coming with. And when that's not visible, the relationship is not really moving forward. Similarly, when you look at the promoting style, while they would want reinforcement or reassurance about their innovative ideas, about their thought processes, uh, they would want to talk about, I did this and I did that, not in a dominant or arrogant style, but they would seek that openness from you as well. Largely to their ideas, their new way of doing things. They're wanting to be ahead of the others, not from a competitive, because that's more of a controlling trait, but generally that's the space they like to be in. And if, let's say, they come up with a very innovative idea, a suggestion, which thinking that, a larger picture in mind, and you get down into talking the analytics of it as to how is this going to work. Have you thought about this? Have you thought, because this might not stick with large number of people, you would see them withdrawing and not getting along so well, because the connect got lost. Their need for openness was open. I'm not saying that they're on a wrong path, you tread the wrong path, but how much do you really mirror and get along with them? And when they don't see that, the relationship doesn't really move forward. Similarly, is with the dominant, they would first like, they have a question in their mind. Are you as, they take a lot of pride in who they are. They take a lot of pride in driving things and taking people along. So they want to see that how much is your thought process aligned in a similar direction. Do you also value? And if you don't, you don't. That's okay. But do you really have the guts to speak up your mind? It's not about, forcefully get along with them. But if you are able to give a gentle pushback with your own ideas, the respect level is higher. But unfortunately, with this style, where do you see the negatives? There is the tendency for us as salespeople at times is to do exactly the opposite. So because I see a controlling behavior, I tend to go on the accepting side. And that doesn't drive much results. Actually, it makes the person to control more, because then there is an element of respect that is also being taken away. Because controlling, like, people like to get people get along well where they see their shadow, and they're not seeing a shadow, they are seeing more of an acceptance, or if I can use that word for a lack of better expression, meekness on the other side. They would not really be happy to, move forward. So if we can focus on these words, congruence with the controlling, openness with promoting, acceptance with facilitating, reliability with analytical style, our chances to build that personal chemistry are much stronger and much higher, versus being absolutely wary of the other opposite styles, which is openness with analytical, congruence with facilitating, reliability with promoting, and acceptance with controlling. Okay. So the trust building that we spoke about earlier, in persona, we say one of the golden rules of trust building is do unto others as they want done to them. You know, There's another saying which is slightly different. So this is inspired from there. But the platinum rule for trust building from a persona standpoint, we say, do unto others as they want done to them. And that can be done once we master these styles and know through our flexibility how can we adopt to each of these styles. And as salespeople, by the way, or every individual has an element of all the styles in them. It's just that what am I up against? I need to leverage higher on my ability on that style. Therefore, some styles within me also will be easier versus the other styles. But that still doesn't take away the fact that we have all the styles and our flexibility decides how well we can execute or reach up to each of these styles. Okay. So quick summary around the points. That was about the power of this program and the people who experience this across the globe. I must also, highlight one very important aspect today. With the pandemic, all of us are stepping into a world which is getting increasingly digital by the day. Sales and the core competence around sales, which is with the people, is the most unique skill that we will be able to carry forward in the digital era. Because most of what humans can do, machines have become competent enough to do, actually do better. But one thing machines will still take a while are the softer element that are required in the skilling. And sales happens to be one very key. Inside of sales, what is far more underlying is communication. So for digital to really get there is going to take a lot of while. And that's one of the very strong reasons we see the appreciation for this program has gone up phenomenally high in today's digital era, where increasingly the importance of soft skills is undergoing a tremendous change. But even as per World Economic Forum, some of the skills continue in the 2025 generation as well. And the influencing, persuading skills is one key element in those skills, which is where sales also falls under. One of the things, if you attend a full day program, you also get is, and this is something I really loved about this session, was that what happens when you go out of the training program? The trainer doesn't come with you to implement. We try once or twice, and if it doesn't work and there is no one around to guide as to what went well and what could have been done differently, we tend to give up the learning. Here you get an app which you can use. Just before your meeting with the client, you can put in a few answers and you get majority of the time the right responses as to how you can deal with them. This is a very small demo that tells you how that app works. It's right on your mobile phone. You can use it just before you step into the client for the meeting. or get on our webinar for the meeting. So as you just saw that including the last mile before you're going to meet the customer, it give you directions as to how you can interact and what you could do differently. So to my mind, the assessment before you start the session, as you would have seen the one that came to your way as well, there are grading points to that assessment at different score points, which gives you an indication which direction you should be working on. And the one that happens in the program is actually 25 to 30 pages, which details every aspect which you could possibly work on and makes you a sort of a, a pro at adapting to behaviors, including you would be able to understand what is your flexibility score. Okay. So that brings me pretty much to second last slide for the day, which is the poll. NRT, if you could now launch poll 3, and at the same time, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you would have from the session, which you can put in the chat box.